I'm Roy. A lot of people know me in the industry. I'm Roy from Resin Driveways, and today we're here at Iden in East Sussex, and we're doing what we class as half excavation, half creation, a bit of design work here to turn this old driveway that's sort of seen its day into a new modern resin-bound subs driveway. Well, resin-bound material today, especially on driveways, is a choice for a lot of people. It's a choice for government uses, open areas, public areas, driveways. It's very good for suds, you see, sustainable urban drainage, where the water will permeate through the system and go back into the ground underneath. It's very decorative, modern, anti-slip, comes in various ranges of colours. So now architects and designers, the public, the house owner can choose a natural stone to complement their house project, driveway paths, patios and things like that. Cost-wise, it's similar to any other sort of driveway. People sometimes mistakenly, wrongly, that it's an expensive system, but compared to other works, major sort of works as we're doing here today, it's no different at all. Sometimes it's cheaper. A bit of a difference between this and my previous job. I was actually a PO, petty officer, in the Merchant Navy many years ago now. And we used to go down over to sort of hot regions and things like that. And I always remember one particular time we went to Australia. I used to be on the Australia New Zealand run, a ship called the NZP. And I always remember seeing what I thought at the time quite a sort of strange stone effect on a big area in Australia. And I didn't think too much of it, but I was talking to some locals, and they said that it was some type of heat-resistant resin because it's so hot in Australia. Yeah, nice, and that sort of thing. So then carried on a voyage to New Zealand. I left the Merchant Navy back in 2002, and went back into the sort of property maintenance side of the industry, where my father was a master bricklayer. So as a child I was always on sites and was always building and that sort of thing. It was a great love to me, and my father was a great love and an inspiration to me, and in quality, and like I said, he was a master bricklayer. A bit like our bricklayer over here. Who is he? Pat, master bricklayer. They're very hard to find these days, and we're going to be doing some brickwork here for the client, and you will see a skilled master bricklayer at work. So I got into sort of the family business of property maintenance and building, and soon turned to sort of driveways. And earlier on in Resin Driveways history, we had a job for a client. She had a design that she wanted on her driveway, which incorporated a very peculiar piece of concrete that went arched around, complex sort of round, and she wanted a gravel driveway, and but she wanted the gravel up this concrete and around the concrete. And I said, yeah, look, it's just going to fall down. She goes, well, that's what I want. Right, okay. And then it brought me back to when I was in Australia, and I'd seen a similar system, resin bonded onto a surface. So some phone calls entailed after that, and some research, and came up to how you could actually bond stone down onto a substrate. And we undertook the job for the lady, and that's basically how Resin Driveways back in 2003 was formed. We are one of the longest established companies in the UK. We have accreditation, we have certification into our products. We only use the best resins. We have the best resins manufacturers for us, for our BBA standards, UCAS tested and certificated. And I'm afraid these sort of other companies that you do find around, they are not up to this kind of level. There's a few. Resin Driveways, Resin Driveways is one of the longest established companies in the UK that undertakes resin bound and bonded driveways. On this particular job, we have a team here today of 3 plus myself. I actually still on the tools a little bit these days, making sure that the finishing touches are to the client's expectations. Not all the team are here today, only the required amount on this particular job. And we have Nikita, who's been with the company for 5 or 6 years now, and a wonderful fellow and a perfectionist like myself. And on this job here today we have Jamie, who's one of our trainees, and he's been with the company now for about 6-7 months and showing real positive signs of becoming a good team member for Resin Driveways.
So there we are, the finished driveway, and it's safe to say my wife and I are absolutely delighted with it. It looks lovely, it's going to be very practical to maintain, and it's going to be long lasting hopefully, and we're delighted with what Roy and his team have done. We live on a very muddy lane, as you can perhaps see, and obviously when you drive off that lane onto a surface, any surface, it's going to get muddy, but the beauty of this, of course, is that it's permeable, and once the rain comes, I've put a hose on it and that mud disappears very quickly. And you can sweep leaves off it because nothing sticks to it, because it's smooth, it's lovely. We didn't want block paving. We didn't think this very rural setting suited that very well. We didn't want gravel. We'd had that before, but it all disappears out the gate. After a while, you have to keep sweeping it back. We didn't want tarmac. We've had that as well before, and it's not very eco-friendly. So we were researching the idea of resin driveways because a friend of ours had a small one done elsewhere in the village. And so we came across resindriveways.co.uk, and after a usual Google search, and they were a local company, they've got a base in Rye Harbour, and so we decided to give them a call. So I rang Roy Potter up, and he duly came round. Roy wasn't pushy. He didn't sort of do the double glazing salesman bit and say, well, sign up by tonight, you can have 10% off, or I've got to ring my manager, and all the stuff you get nonsense with if you have people round. He was just genuine, I think, about wanting to do it. He said, I've given you a good price, you can have whatever surface you want for that price. I'm not going to rip you off, I'm going to do a good job because I want to do this job, it's an interesting job. And he went away, and we thought about it, and we thought, well, we could go for 3 competitive quotes, do the usual thing, but we don't know anything about any other company that might come. And here we have a company that appears to have a track record, and you've got to take people at their word at some point, haven't you? And I liked Roy, and he sounded as though he knew what he was talking about. So we rang him up and said, yeah, we'll do this. And he said, I'll be there on the 7th of November. That was 2 weeks after we'd spoken to him. And he was. And his team turned up on the 7th of November, and they finished 2 weeks to the day afterwards. And this is the result. And we are delighted with it, as I've said. I think if you're thinking about a driveway, then firstly, resin bound is certainly worth thinking about. It's very eco-friendly. You'll have seen, I expect, on this video that Roy explains about that. And I think really that it's probably the obvious choice for a driveway these days. It looks beautiful. It's very quick to do. The surface was down in less than a day once they'd done all the preparatory work, which of course is the most important thing, a proper sub-base, and that was very carefully done. Roy was on site every day. He turned up just to check on what his blokes were doing. He sometimes wanted them to redo things that he wasn't satisfied with, but generally speaking it was very high quality, and we were delighted with what he did. So if you're thinking of a drive, then firstly, resin bound I think is well worth thinking about. Secondly, if you're thinking of resin bound, then resindriveways.co.uk is well worth thinking about. So give him a call, the number's on the film I think, and get him to come round and chat to you about it.
They're here to help, so if you're thinking of having a resin bound driveway, half patio, give us a call and speak to our team. We'll be pleased to take your call.